Hey everybody, welcome to the Luxury Sai Lounge. I am your host, Luxury Sai, and this is the place where luxury is rarely practical yet always enjoyable. Welcome to 2022. I have a lot to share with you all. This is going to be, I'm just so happy to see 2021 gone. I didn't do anything for New Year's Eve, I have to tell you. I wanted to. I really did. Some of my friends went out and went to parties and celebrations, but I didn't. I stayed in the house. I wanted to be safe. I still don't know what's going on with these variants and what's happening. So I just chose to hang low. Hopefully by the time my birthday hits in April, I'll be able to party and have a good time, have a little soiree. But to bring in 2022, I kept it tight, I kept it close, and I kept it at home. So what did you do? Let me know on my blog, luxurysai.com, or you can definitely add comments. And I'd love to read them. I'd love to know what everybody did. Today, on today's episode, I'm going to review, of course, the most desirable premium goods and lifestyle services that the world has to offer. And I'm super amped. Y'all know I'm a realtor with Premier Sotheby's International Realty. And Sotheby's is doing its thing in the metaverse. So I'm super amped to just talk about what's happening in the metaverse and what Sotheby's and other luxury brands are doing in the metaverse. So that's going to be a big part. If you want to know what we're really going to be talking about in 2022, that's definitely going to be a big part of it. And I'm working behind the scenes to create a space for the Luxury Sai Lounge in the metaverse. So in addition to the Luxury Sai Lounge being this place where I can inspire you to create a life, a career, and a home that you actually love and enjoy and cherish. The magazine is what it's doing. This podcast is what it's doing. Shop Luxury Sai is doing its thing. But really, and I'm going to talk a little bit about resolutions. This is not a resolution, but more of a declaration, I should say, of where I want Luxury Sai to go in 2022. And so in addition to that, I'm also going to be talking about like what other real estate brands, what some real estate predictions are for this year. And just, touching on what our personal and professional resolutions could be. And then, of course, what some real estate predictions are, because I would be doing you a disservice if I did not share what I think some really important real estate predictions are for 2022. So listen, before we get started with that, just remember that each episode of the Luxury Sai Lounge is long enough for you to enjoy and be at a cocktail party and know what the top luxury stories are, but short enough to listen on the go. So that's, I love it. When I started the Sai Brown Morning Show on June 26th in 2008, we were doing a live show with a chat room every day. There's over 300. There should be at least 500 episodes of the Sai Brown Morning Show on iTunes. But when we rebranded to the Luxury Sai Lounge, just kind of recalibrated a little bit, made the show a little bit shorter so you can listen while you're on the treadmill, listen while you're in your car during your morning commute, or just while you're chilling at home. But I think that the most important changes that we're making for 2022 for the Luxury Sai Lounge is to just make the podcast where every time you listen to my show, because I value your ears, I value your time, is that what's happening in the luxury world, what's happening in luxury fashion, what's happening with luxury goods, what's happening in real estate and yachts and food and wine and travel and spirits. So each episode this year is really just going to talk about key areas and what's happening in the zeitgeist at that moment. And then that way, you know what to talk about when you're out and about. You know what's hot because you heard it here first. And I get to share with you the world that I occupy every single day. I love being in the luxury space. I'm owning even more so in 2022, declaring that I'm occupying that space even more so. I mean, for those of you who've been following this show and following me since I kind of became a public person back in the 2000s, I would say. That's just a space that I've naturally occupied without saying, hey, I'm in a luxury space. Give me a break. If you know, you know, and we just keep it pushing that way. But don't forget, do me a favor, get some snaps going. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the Luxury Sai Lounge on your favorite podcast platform. It helps me know where my listeners are coming from, what stories and brands you want me to cover next on the show. And so that helps me out a lot. I want to bring you the best show so when you are out and about, you can listen to it, know what's going on, and keep it moving. So before I get into some my real estate predictions and trends for 2022, I want to just touch a little bit on resolutions. And this is not designed to shame anybody. Like, I'm not in the shaming thing. I've been on a fitness journey. When I turned 40 years old, actually 10 years ago, I was overweight. My credit wasn't good. We were coming out of the 2008 financial crisis, 2008, 2009. Like, I just didn't know where I wanted to go. It's just in a crazy place. And I remember saying to myself that January after I turned 40, I don't want to say I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And that was the first year for me that I did not make a resolution. I know every year for Lent, I'm not Catholic, but my mother always made me give up something for Lent. My family's Muslim. So for Ramadan, we can't pretty much do anything. Like, we can't eat or drink. You can't have sex, any of those things during daylight hours. You have to pray. But so I've been trained to be disciplined in that way. But I just remember thinking, I'm not making a resolution. I need to lose some weight. I don't like how I look. I'm just going to do it. And that was such a freeing experience. It was so freeing when I started losing weight and starting to create the body that I wanted to live in for the rest of my life. Now, of course, over time, your body is going to change. Your hair is going to get gray. Some weight might settle in areas that you're not happy with. But I refuse to make the same resolution that I had in the past. And people make resolutions. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to exercise 5 days a week. I want to stop being late. I'm going to start doing like these crazy promises and declarative statements that we make over our life, but there's no meat behind it. And then we attribute it to all of these other extra factors when really there was just the will and the metrics to help us accomplish what we wanted to do just weren't there. There was no foundation. There was no starting place. There was no supporting cast. Like, how are we supposed to do this? Like, how the heck do we do this if we don't even have support? We don't even have mechanisms in place. And let me just tell you, gyms, personal coaches, trainers, self-development gurus, they pray. Like, January is their Christmas. Just like Staples, Office Max, Office Depot used to be like September, back to school, August, September. For people that are in the north, like Northeast New York, New Jersey, where I'm from, like, we go back to school like the second week of September, but in other parts of the country, they go back in August. But that August-esque, September-esque time period, that is their Christmas. And so for people in the personal development, personal awareness, self-help space, they pray on, not pray, P-R-A-Y, P-R-E-Y, on people that want to do new year, new you, new year, new you. And they have a sign up in January when our willpower is on 50. And then by February, we're like, this is bullshit. I'm tired of this. By March, we've lost maybe 2 pounds. It's not working. And then we go back to our old ways. And then it becomes this vicious cycle in our mind psychologically. And they've made money off of us. And now we're angry at these people because they use, like, it's just, this problem is just so so cyclical. And we have to really look at it as the only way to change this journey of expectation is to really look at why your resolutions in the years prior didn't work before and reset those expectations. I want to share this with you. Like, this is really about human potential and then behavior modification and behaviors that we want to change over the course of, say, the next 365 days. I want to lose 20 pounds in 2022. Well, hell, do it over the whole course of 2022, not just January. I want to get a pet, or I want to buy a new car and I don't want a car payment. Okay, well, you can't, unless your finances are like super duper and you're not just coming out of COVID where so many people still can't pay their rent, waiting to see what happens with this into the coming year with this moratorium and all these things expiring. Just maybe say I want to do this by June. It doesn't necessarily have to be done by January 17th. Like, how does it work on an individual level? I want to lose 20 pounds. That means I need to eat less. I need to put in lifestyle change practices. Because if you starve yourself, I'm telling you right now, that's so totally not going to work. You have to make time to cook in advance, do meal prep, get to the gym. I don't care. Join Planet Fitness. They don't have a sponsorship on this show, so I'm really mentioning this out of kindness and not advocating Planet Fitness. But I'm just saying it's $10 a month. They probably have $0 down or $1 for your first month. And just hop on a treadmill and walk. Like, maybe this year you want to resolve to repair a fractured relationship or a fractured friendship. And on that note, let me just speak on this. If I see another meme that talks about I'm blocking people and I'm cutting ties and I'm cleaning out my address, stop it. Like, I see this all in my IG feed, on my Twitter feed, on TikTok, how people pride themselves in cutting people off in 2022. I'm not going into the new year with dead weight. You don't have to declare that. Just let it go. Just like dead it right there. And if there are relationships that you feel are really worth salvaging, then do so quietly. You don't have to broadcast, I'm cutting people off, I'm sick of this. If you have to do that every year, peep this. If you have to cut people off every single year, maybe it's you. Because what that says to me is that you've acquired over the last year another cadre of people that you built a false relationship with, and now you feel the need to cut them off. That's bizarre and it's crazy. I have friends on Facebook. I have elementary school friends on Facebook. My high school English teacher, my dear Wendy, I call her Mama Wendy, she is not like, where's this thing where we just have to cut people off? Like, that's nuts. If you want to mend, not amend, but mend fractured relationships, do it. Free up a Sunday, the first Sunday of the year, and just say, you know what? I'm going to catch up with everybody today. Here's something that I have done, and it has worked wonders for me personally and professionally. Put together a top 20. You heard me? Put together a top 20. My top 20 are people, my top 20 list is a list of people that I have made a commitment. They don't even know they're in my top 20. That's what's so bananas about it. I've made a list of the top 20 people that I will stay in contact with no matter what. Think about it. That means I know their anniversary, I know their birthday, I know their kids, when their kids ballet recite. Like, who is in your top 20? And that doesn't mean you can't have all of these other wonderful, fantastic, magnetic relationships. But really, for real, who is in your top 20? And those are the people that, and if you want to, kind of do 10 personal contacts and 10 professional contacts, that's fine. For me, my personal life bleeds into my professional life, and my professional life bleeds into my personal life. They're all, for the most part, they're all one and the same. There's maybe tiers in a bucket, but they're pretty much all in the same bucket because I rely on my friendships to support me from a 360-degree perspective. And then I hope to become friends with the people that I do business with from a 360-degree perspective. Now, I know people that are like, I don't mix business with pleasure. People that I work with are people that I work with. People that I hang out with, I hang out with. I just feel like you're losing, like there could be lost opportunities, and not just monetary opportunities, but growth opportunities. I remember when I was really doing the business plan for what I want the Luxury Sai Lounge to look like. This is real. Listen to what I'm saying. We're at the 15-minute mark. This is real, what I'm getting ready to tell you. When I was putting the whole concept of the Luxury Sai Lounge together, and I knew I wanted to take it from where it was into the metaverse, I had everything segmented. This is the magazine, this is the podcast, this is the store, the online boutique, and this is where we're going to be in the metaverse. And so I spent my days bizarrely compartmentalizing content for the magazine, content for the podcast, items that I wanted to offer in my boutique, and then what the lounge in the metaverse is actually going to look like. And one day I'm like, this is stupid. I'm going to bed late, waking up early. I'm not getting a good night's sleep. I'm frazzled. Can you imagine how many pieces of content I was struggling to put together? Until one day I just said, this is my topic for January, and this is where all my content is going to flow from for January. So the theme for January is cozy at home. Period. Full stop. My theme for the Luxury Sai Lounge in all of its iterations, the magazine, the podcast, the boutique, and where we're going in the metaverse, is cozy at home, period. So now let's take that into your personal life, right? You have an opportunity to have these areas feed off of each other. So I'm definitely not a proponent of this hyper segmentation of our lives. I remember growing up, my grandmother taught me when I first started working, don't talk about politics or religion at work, right? Which I still kind of stand by to some degree, but how can you not? If you can't engage and seem politically savvy in the cultural zeitgeist, to use that term again, like, you look nuts. Like, you can't really, you look unintelligent. And that's really the spirit of this podcast. I don't know where you get your political news. I don't know where you get your health and fitness news. I don't know where you get your real estate news, but I know where you should get your luxury news. You should get your luxury news from the Luxury Sai Lounge podcast. Full stop, hands down. We are going to give you a cross section, my producers, myself, everybody that helps put this podcast together, a piece of knowledge across genres, across the spectrum, as it relates to real estate. So that way you can add us to your arsenal. Consider me your luxury friend. If there's anything you want to know about luxury, call me. It's going to touch on a lot of things. Hey, what is the new Cadillac XTS look like? What are some rims? What are, what company, what yacht company is coming out with a new design in 20? Call me and ask me, because that's the space that I occupy. So I just feel like there has to be a little bit of crossover. But just to bring this back to this whole resolution thing, I just say don't do it. I know that's not probably what you want to hear, but I don't want you making a resolution. Just make a lifestyle change, and then put the people, places, and things. Remember, a noun is a person, place, or thing. Put people, places, and things around you to manifest what you want to happen in your life. I know that I wanted my brand to inspire people. I want to be that spark of inspiration to help you create a home, a career, and a life that you absolutely love. And in order to do that, I have people, places, and things around me to support that mission and vision so it can manifest into what I need it to manifest into. Simultaneously, I have fitness goals. So I had to put people, places and things, big shout out to Burn Boot Camp, around me to make that happen and to make that a reality. But I just don't want to come on this podcast, the first podcast of 2022, and just tout, make a resolution, you can do it, you got this. I'm not that type of cheerleader. We're all grown here. We're all grown. We all need cheerleaders and support systems, but we're grown. I'm not doing it. So just perhaps that means we need to change the books that we read, the commentators that we turn to, the communities that we engage in, the conversations that we join in on. It just means we need to create this light, this dream big, this macro space for us to learn and grow, so we're not repeating the same resolutions that we've made the last 5 years that never actually come to fruition. Now, let me say this before I get into the top real estate stories. COVID notwithstanding, we are living and we're actually coming out of a very, very, very unique time, right? I've never lived in a pandemic before. A couple recessions, the crack era. I can speak on that. But this thing that we're going through right now, this whole COVID, mask mandates, my heart goes out to first responders, healthcare professionals, teachers, and parents. Right there. I don't know how. A friend of mine has young children, and every time I turn around, she's telling me, oh, the school, a kid tested positive, so now they're closing the school for 3 days. Like, how are you supposed to work? Like, this is taking a mental toll on everybody. So this whole thing about resolutions, mental fitness and mental wellness, and being able to actually get to a place where you're comfortable enough in your life and in your space to make a resolution. Hooray, hurrah, I give you 2 claps on 2. Big shout out to Burn Boot Camp again. But for real, give yourself some grace and give yourself some mercy. Have mercy on your own soul. Have mercy on your own soul, because this COVID thing has taken a toll on everybody, mentally, emotionally, physically. So set a resolution or set this guidepost for your life that is something that can be rewarding and something that can be absolutely fulfilling, because we for darn sure don't want to put any more weight or pressure on our lives. So we are at the 23-minute mark of this podcast. I want to jump in really quickly just to talk about the 5 luxury trends that I want to, talk about. Predictions, basically, for 2022. We're coming out of, as a real estate professional, as a real estate agent, global realtor with Premier Sotheby's International Realty, my colleagues are on fire. The real estate market across this country is on fire. And so I believe, and I've said this many, many times over the years hosting this podcast, that wealth is acquired in down markets. Very, very common statement, but wealth is definitely acquired in down markets. And so while COVID ravaged some families' incomes and some semblance of normalcy in their lives, other families thrived. They were able to work from home. They were able to scale up to bigger homes. They were able to move to less expensive areas while maintaining their same salary. Just a quick note to the side, I'm hearing there's a little buzz that companies, now that they're hiring, are asking where you're located, and they are applying a salary or offering a salary that is, I guess, congruent, maybe I want to say, with, maybe that's not the best word, I'll think of another word in a second, with where you live, comparable maybe to where you actually live. So I remember reading a New York Times story where this woman lived in New York. She started working from home, moved to Tennessee, saved a ton of money, and she was working from home, no problem at all. But she's still making Midtown Manhattan money. Those days are not going to last forever. New hires are being actually asked where you live, where you reside, and they are making salary adjustments and salary modifications based on where you live. Is it fair? I don't know. I don't know. You got to look at it for yourself. I think it is actually. Let me give my opinion. I think it is fair. I think it's time for employees to win. So what? If I can get the job done, let me get the job done no matter where I live. Who cares? But employers don't see it that way. They're making these cost of living and location adjustments. And you know what? Let's see if they can get away with it. This is just, we're at the top of 2022. Let's see if this works. They may not get employees that way. I just feel like if you have a line item in your budget for a salary of $125,000, then that's the line item in your budget. It shouldn't matter where the person lives. That's just my 2 cents. So now it's on record of me saying it. And the last thing I just want to talk about really quickly is I know a couple of people that are working 2 full-time jobs at 6-figure salaries because both positions allow them to work from home. So kudos to the people that I know that are playing both sides of the fence. Get your money, ladies. Get your money, get your money. Okay, now we're at the 26-minute mark. Let me just talk about these, the top real estate trends, because I try to keep our show at 30 minutes. So I can get through these pretty quickly. There's low inventory. There is low inventory across this country. And it continues to constrict like the top 10 to 20% of the market. Let me just say what's happening right now. Builders, watch this moratorium, y'all. Just put that as an asterisk in your things to watch for 2022. What impact the moratorium ending on evictions, how that's going to play out in real estate. But what's happening right now, the luxury segment in real estate is booming. People are buying $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes because they need the space. And you buy a $700,000 home, even a $400,000 home in a less expensive area, you can live from home. They're looking for work, play spaces. And because of bottlenecks in the supply chain, there is very low inventory at this point. And so when you have low inventory and people do have money, there's a lot of people that don't, but people that do have money, they want to spend it and they want to live a certain way. They want to get their kids situated in school. And so the more expensive properties are flying through the roof. In addition to, let me just say this too, and this is my opinion. This is not a fact. This is just my opinion and assessment of the market. People who are in less expensive homes in the hundreds, 200s, 300,000, they may not be able to as easily work from home. So that means their positions have been adjusted at work, thereby impacting their income. But because of the moratorium, they can stay in their home even though they're not paying their mortgage. So that's taking inventory off the market. And so when you have the situation where there's such low inventory, but people need to move, people want to make cost of living adjustments, it just creates for what we're looking at now, where in certain parts of the country, properties wouldn't be on the market for an hour and they were already sold. And I can tell you as a real estate professional, we weren't allowed to put coming soon. We had to keep it where everybody has a fair shot at every property. Now, is that always done in practice? No. New York City and LA and hot markets are full of whisper and pocket listings all the time. But you have to be able to be compliant with the law and to keep your license, be able to offer properties to the widest market and make it as fair as possible so you don't get yourself into real estate jail. But does it always happen? Nope. And so there's just low inventory. So just watch where the inventory is going. And just so you know, all of this data and information will be on my blog, Luxury Sai, so you can find it there. There's new luxury price thresholds. Now, luxury, it's so funny. I told you I grew up in New York City. I did not realize I was a luxury person or a luxury person in the luxury space because I just grew up in New York. It's just what it is. Until I went to other places around the world and around the country. It was like, holy cow. People don't just pay, $1.2 million for 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath apartment in Manhattan. But there are new luxury price thresholds. And because of declining inventory and then a combined lack of desirable properties, they're pushing up prices across the whole luxury spectrum. So the median luxury sold prices as of the end of October of 2021 compared to the full year of 2020, they've risen over 20%. That's a lot. That is a lot, especially for single family homes. Right now, you can't find single family homes. They are so hard to find right now. So the new luxury price threshold has crept up, and as a result, they rose across the U.S. In Los Angeles, the entry-level home, like listen to this, entry-level luxury home price was around $2 million, and now it's closer to $3 million. Like, you hear that? Even in a small resort market like Hilton Head Island in South Carolina, the barrier to getting into luxury has increased just over these last few years from a little over $500,000 to almost $800,000 because homes are being more amenitized. There's more space. There's better fixtures. There's curved walls instead of square walls. There's crown molding. There's Italian marble. There's all these other features. So the new luxury price thresholds are going to continue to increase. So watch that. The third trend to watch for 2022 real estate is the high demand for turnkey properties and new construction. People just want to move in. They're tired. COVID has beaten them up. They just want to literally get their stuff, unpack, and start living. And so the resale market, so where I am in the Northeast, particularly North Jersey, we don't have a lot of new construction, like at all, because everything's resale. The homes are there. You really don't get lots where the trees are leveled and people build. Maybe a little bit in Central Jersey, Princeton, New Brunswick, Trenton, but not even there. But in other parts of the country, especially North Carolina, South Carolina, Ohio, construction companies can come in, level ground, put new construction. Everybody wants it, but then there's still delays because of wood, of timber. So there's just a high demand because people are so mentally beaten up. They just want to get their stuff, move in, and start living. But the labor shortages to materials like lumber, concrete, and paint have literally just amplified the reason that people don't want to think about the resale market. They just want to come in, set up, and keep it pushing. The fourth luxury real estate trend to watch in 2022 is the rise of, I don't know what to call this, but where there is an ownership where your primary is now your secondary and your secondary is now your primary. Let me explain this. A lot of people have, and I've noticed this particularly in luxury. We're talking luxury here. We're not talking about starter homes, FHA, VA. We're talking about the luxury market where people may have an apartment in Manhattan, but a nice house in Hilton Head, or a house in Arizona, or something in Montana, or something in Aspen. They're now flipping those. Now you can do an exchange, like you can do an exchange if you sell it, but people are not selling them. What they're doing is they're making their primary home the quote unquote vacation. So your little condo in Manhattan, your little pied-à-terre in LA, or your little pied-à-terre in Paris, you're now switching that for your vacation home, which is Connecticut, the Montanas, the places where there's more space, where you would go on the weekends. Up in Westchester, people, especially in New York, they go out to Connecticut on the weekends or things like that. That's now becoming a primary residence, and I'm noticing a lot of that right now, where there's been this flip-flop in where people live just because people are tired of being cooped up in these small, not fully amenitized homes where, maybe that's just where you work and you're fine, but then you have your weekend place. They're just switching them and they're doing a flip-flop, and they're doing that in mass. Their secondary residence is now their primary residence, or they just choose to own two primary properties in different locations. So that's happening a lot, and I expect to see that happen even more in 2022. And the last is, with this great resignation and people quitting their jobs, they are moving to less expensive areas. People are taking the salaries, their ability to work from home, all of these things, and they're migrating. They're going into reverse. Years ago, people were moving into the cities, moving to downtown Charlotte, moving to Atlanta. People are getting up out of there. They are getting up out of there. They are fleeing these densely packed cities in pandemic hotspots because they're like, I need space. I need air. I don't want to live on top of people. I want to, go to the market and not have to have cars parked. So whatever their reason is, but people are looking for these small town hidden gems, suburbs, second home destinations. They are getting up out of the city, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. Number one, because of affordability. These homes are typically probably as much as 40% less expensive than where they're used to living in these densely populated areas. Just a side note, if you Google like the most densely populated cities in the country, the top 10, like 6 of them are in New Jersey. And I think like 4 of those 6 are in Hudson County. So you've got Union City, Guttenberg, West New York, Weehawken, Hoboken. Those are all these really small cities that border Manhattan. They are so dense. I mean, it's just bizarre. And people are like, I'm out of here. I don't want to do it. This COVID, I'm sick of it. And so there's just, the migrations are going to continue through 2022, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Other buyers are also making moves to small and mid-sized cities with more affordable home prices and reasonable commuting distance to major employment centers like Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro, Fayetteville in North Carolina, all of these cities where hopping in your car and driving like 20 to 40 minutes is not a big deal. 20 to 40 minutes in Manhattan or North Jersey, you're not getting anywhere. Chicago, Atlanta, you've gone maybe 2 miles. But if you're going into these areas where there's a little more space, 20 to 40 minutes outside of the city can get you a really, really, really nice home. So there you have it. We're just over our 30-minute mark. I tried to keep it at 30 minutes, but I kind of went on a little bit of tangent about those resolutions because that's a very prickly thing with me. But anyway, welcome to 2022, listeners. Thank you so much for your support in 2021. I'm grateful. I'm appreciative. Always remember that we shall pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that we can do or any kindness that we can show to any human being, let us do it now. Let us not defer or neglect it, for we shall not pass this way again. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Hit me up in the message board on luxurysai.com, my blog, so I can know what you like about the show, what you want to hear more of, and I will see you next time. Have a great one.